Folkwin stepped forward to stop Barulf but was knocked down by the other party with a punch. Barulf demanded that the chieftain hand over Arminius. Folkwin pressed his sharp sword against Barulf's neck, and the situation reached a stalemate. A shout broke the deadlock as Arminius ran away with the eagle flag. Folkwin pursued Arminius without hesitation. He threw a spear at Arminius but missed. Folkwin quickly grabbed his weapon and continued chasing Arminius. After running into the forest, he saw a horse running out, and Arminius was already at the foot of the mountain. Folkwin told Arminius to return the eagle flag, saying he had saved his life, but Arminius had stolen the flag. Arminius replied that the flag did not belong to Folkwin, and if it wasn't returned, everyone would die. Folkwin did not listen and threw his spear at Arminius. He couldn't bear to harm Arminius but couldn't let him go easily. Folkwin gathered his strength and jumped off the cliff, only to be knocked unconscious by Arminius. Arminius did this to save his friends because he knew how powerful Rome was and he couldn't let his friends die. Arminius then made his way to the Roman camp. Arminius wanted to resolve the matter quietly, but he didn't expect there to be a traitor among his own people. At this moment, Segestes had brought Varus to the tribe. He wanted to keep his distance from the Romans and continue hiding his betrayal, but Varus did not give him that chance. Varus thought long and hard. He needed someone like Segestes by his side. The villagers, seeing Segestes leading the way, knew he had betrayed the tribe. Only Segestes' wife smiled. Varus met with the chieftain Segimer, and they discussed Arminius and his brother. Segimer was furious but still thanked Varus for taking care of his two sons. Varus directly asked about the eagle flag and Folkwin's whereabouts. The chief said he would not betray his people. Varus said nothing. Segestes brought Roman soldiers to Folkwin's house but did not mention his daughter. Tusnelda warned Folkwin's family to leave, but it was too late. Folkwin's family was killed, and none survived. Folkwin, knocked unconscious in the forest, escaped the tragedy. Arminius was exhausted and the eagle flag rolled into the river. He quickly ran into the river to search for it. Suddenly, he felt a wolf watching him. Just as he prepared to fight, the wolf disappeared. This reminded him of his childhood when he was chased by a lone wolf. Night fell, and Folkwin finally woke up. He stumbled toward the village. In the village, the bodies of Folkwin's family were hung on stakes. Varus demanded the return of the eagle flag in Folkwin, or there would be no peace. Before this, anyone who dared to take down these bodies would be hung on the stakes like them. The chieftain was also humiliated. Held down by two Roman soldiers in front of the stakes, Barulf shed tears seeing the people tied to the stakes. As soon as the Romans left, the villagers attacked Segestes, wanting to punish the traitor. Segestes claimed that he was not the one who broke the peace. It was Folkwin who defied the tribal council's decision. He said the deaths of Folkwin's family were the gods' punishment, and even his own son, Anskar, was a sacrifice to the gods for the safety of the tribe. The chieftain was enraged, saying Segestes was shameful, and all who argued in front of the dead were shameful. He dispersed the crowd and stood alone before the dead, blaming himself for his incompetence. Back in the village, Tusnelda stopped Folkwin from coming closer. Folkwin, having lost all his family, knelt on the ground, unable to believe what he saw. Tusnelda told Folkwin to leave immediately because it was not safe for him to be here. She promised to find a way to bury his family. At that moment, a group of people appeared behind Folkwin, led by Barulf. Barulf handed his axe to someone nearby and embraced Folkwin. Barulf said that these people behind him and himself would follow Folkwin, but at this time Folkwin only thought about his family. Barulf had no choice but to knock Folkwin unconscious again and take him away from the village. Arminius returned the eagle flag to the camp and requested a transfer, anywhere but Germania. Varus had already sent a messenger to the emperor, nominating Arminius to be knighted, the highest honor a barbarian like Arminius could receive. Arminius smiled. Varus then said Arminius had one last task, to uphold the legion's honor and punish the thief of the eagle flag. This final task was to execute Folkwin. Folkwin and Barulf, along with a group of people, appeared in the forest. They were now a resistance force against Rome. As they discussed how to grow their ranks, a group of people surrounded them on a hillside. The chieftain glared at them, but his expression quickly changed. This tribe was Barulf's uncle's tribe. His uncle had been beheaded by the Romans, and his brother had taken the chieftain's position. The chieftain admired Folkwin, as the theft of the eagle flag had spread through all the Germanic tribes. Meanwhile, Arminius prepared to leave. Before departing, he prayed to the Roman god of war, Mars, for courage to complete the task of retrieving Folkwin's head. The centurion said he would accompany Arminius to capture Folkwin. Arminius, leading the Roman legion, headed to Folkwin's village. On the way, the centurion mockingly asked Arminius how it felt for a barbarian to return to this wild, dark swamp. Arminius ignored him and did not respond. Tusnelda was chopping down the stakes, unable to bear the sight of her people not being buried. In the vast village, only one woman tried to bury her people, a stark contrast. The chieftain could not stand it anymore. His incompetence had caused this, and he deserved punishment. He stopped Tusnelda and then led people to chop down the stakes. At that moment, the Roman horn sounded. Varus had said that anyone who took down these criminals would be hung on the stakes. Arminius looked at his father and then ordered the burial of these people. The centurion was displeased but had to comply. That night, they held a funeral for the dead. When Tusnelda saw Arminius approaching, she chased him away. That night, Tusnelda heard someone informing the Romans of Folkwin's whereabouts. Tusnelda returned home and tried to take a horse to find Folkwin, but her father stopped her.
Wo willst du hin?
Suggests plan to marry his daughter to Rake Hadgon to prevent her from escaping. He tied her up. After a party, everyone fell asleep. Folkwin suddenly felt something at the door. He woke up Barulf, and they both stared at the door. Everyone woke up and looked towards the door, but there was only a sheep. Just as everyone relaxed, someone attacked a member of the group. In the chaos, Folkwin and the others escaped the room. Barulf used his body to block the door, letting the others go first. At that moment, a knife pierced through the door, stabbing Barulf. Seeing Barulf fall, Folkwin could only take the remaining people and quickly escape. The chieftain betrayed Folkwin because the Romans had given him enough benefits. Seeing Ansgar continually hitting the pillar, his mother wanted to end his suffering. Tusnelda noticed her mother's strange behavior and begged her father to untie her. Not wanting to lose her brother, Suggests hesitated for a long time but finally released Tusnelda. On the cliff, the mother was playing a game with Ansgar, blindfolding him. She then told Ansgar to turn around and walk toward the edge of the cliff. Tusnelda ran through the forest, and Ansgar kept moving closer to the edge. At the last moment, Tusnelda saved her brother, telling him the game was over. The mother said Ansgar was already dead, and this was just completing the process. Furious, Tusnelda choked her mother and pushed her to the edge of the cliff, cursing her before taking Ansgar away. The priestess stopped Tusnelda in the forest, telling her to find Folkwin. She told Tusnelda to leave Ansgar with her, saying she would take care of him. Folkwin and his group reached the Dark Realm, where it was said only the undead could enter and survive. Folkwin told everyone they were now the undead, and this was a good place to hide. A member, terrified, chose to flee. Arminius and the centurion sat by the campfire. During their conversation, it was revealed they had fought together before, and Arminius had saved the centurion's life. The centurion decided not to pursue the matter of burying Folkwin's family. At that moment, Roman soldiers captured the deserter. Arminius learned from him that Folkwin had gone to the Dark Realm. He promised the man he would be spared if he revealed Folkwin's whereabouts, but the centurion, knowing Arminius could lead the way, killed the man instead. In the centurion's eyes, Arminius was also a traitor. As the group rested in the Dark Realm, one man talked about his future life. He said his children would be proud of him for fighting for freedom. Before he could finish, an arrow pierced his throat. The brothers sitting around the fire exclaimed that the Romans were coming. In the darkness, Romans and barbarian rebels fought, with both sides suffering casualties, but the Romans were stronger. Soon, everyone except Folkwin was killed. Folkwin was captured by the centurion, who handed his sword to Arminius, expecting him to end the life of the fugitive. This was probably the worst decision the centurion ever made. Folkwin stared in disbelief at what was happening. Like Folkwin, Arminius did not want his childhood friend to die in front of him. Even after praying to Mars, the god of war, to grant him strength, he still could not bring himself to do it. As Arminius tended to Folkwin's wounds, a Roman soldier who had not died slowly rose and escaped under the moonlight. The three childhood friends were reunited, but even after killing the Roman soldier, Arminius refused to join them. He still chooses to go back to the Roman barracks and takes a random head back in order to save Folkwin. In Varus's eyes, all barbarians were the same. Back in the Roman camp, Varus pressured chieftain Segemur. He told Segemur that if he did not provide enough grain, he would use slaves instead. Segemur said he would never let his people become slaves. Varus then suggested a change of chieftain, saying a beggar-like chieftain was not what he wanted. He told Segemur to step down and let his son Arminius take his place. Among the Charusai, only when the father died could the son inherit the chieftain's position. Segemur said nothing and left. Arminius brought back what Varus wanted, but he was told he could not return to Rome. Varus had groomed Arminius to return and become the Charusai chieftain. His barbarian identity would never change. Realizing it was all Varus's plan, Arminius knew he couldn't change reality. He said the current Charusai chieftain was still alive. Varus said he had already spoken to the current chieftain, and Segemur agreed. Segemur returned to the village, and the villagers greeted him warmly. He was a good chieftain, but he knew nothing was eternal, including himself. He planted his sword in the ground and walked into the river. A series of blows made Arminius see through Rome. He smashed the statue of Mars. That was the Roman god of war, not his. His faith was shattered. It so happened that one of the guards came to report that one of the men who had accompanied him earlier had returned to the barracks. Learning that the soldier had not said anything yet, Arminius dismissed the guard. He then personally broke the survivor's neck. This scene happened to be seen by Talio. Arminius had just put his hand on the arrow when the doctor arrived, pronouncing the soldier dead. Talio looked puzzled at the scene before him. Tusnelda, who had planned the theft of the eagle flag, had become a seer who could communicate with the gods. Folkwin brought her back to the tribe that had betrayed him, but the chieftain did not believe in the seer. Tusnelda used the thunder to convince everyone of her identity, and her strange behavior made them submit. Arminius, wearing a wolf's tooth and dressed as a Charusai, found Talio. He hoped Talio would stand with him, as the Germans needed to unite. Just as Segestes was about to seize the chieftain's position, Arminius appeared. He announced to the villagers that he would inherit his father Segemur's chieftain position. Since he was a former Roman commander, the villagers did not support him, but out of fear of the Romans, they had to accept it. Talio said he could stand with Arminius but wanted to know the plan. Arminius assured him he would tell him everything. Before that, they needed to find someone. The three friends were reunited, this time with Arminius as the chieftain. Now they had a common enemy. Folkwin had seen Arminius kill Romans and believed in him. Arminius's plan was to annihilate all three Roman legions. To do this, they needed to unite all the tribes, something even the old chieftain Segemur could not achieve. People did not know Arminius, and those who did not like him. Therefore, uniting everyone was very difficult, but they were all willing to follow Tusnelda, the seer. Arminius's solution was to marry Tusnelda. Hearing this, Folkwin punched him.